The CPI, which is the only real news of the day, quite frankly. I mean, sure, there's lots of very interesting things that I'm going to tell you about this morning, but the only big news of the day was that the CPI came in certainly hotter than the Fed would like, but within Wall Street estimates and about the same as it's been for the last few months. So I've changed my position of Monday, and now I believe the Fed will cut next week. And so does everybody else. So I'm just joining the crowd. But I also believe that this is the wrong move, and I think they will come to regret it. Now, having said that, I think inflation will not be a big issue in 2025 or 20. I think going forward, inflation will not be a big issue, but that's not necessarily because of anything that the Fed has done or not done. It's going to be because of DOGE, which is going to reduce government spending, and that's going to have a big impact. And it's going to be because of productivity coming from AI, coming from cyber cabs and cyber tech, the entire new thing, robotaxis, and also eventually from Optimus. But just this entire tech revolution is going to increase productivity. And eventually that productivity is going to be even have a stronger impact on the overall market than the government. But both of those things happening at the same time, no, I think inflation long term is not going to be an issue. But initially this morning, bonds responded well, but now bonds are back up again, at least the 10-year. We'll look at that in a few minutes again. And then Tesla opened up, taking another shot at 410, and then backed off, and now it's taking another shot at 410. And so we'll see. This is turning out to be the battle for the ages, and it might go through today, it might go through this week, or it might not go through for months. Or my recommendation, it might not go through until, after the earnings call, but I'm not in stone on that by any stretch of the imagination. If it does go through, I think we have a shot at being at 450 by the earnings call. But let's all take a look at what happened I mean, you know that I don't really care that much about Bitcoin, but let's take a look at what happened with Bitcoin. It's bouncing up against the 100,000, bouncing up against the 100,000. Everybody's looking for it to go through. It finally does go through. And then what does it do? Yeah, it came way down 5%, 6%, 7% below 100,000. So this could happen with Tesla as well. We could go to 411, 412, and then we could find ourselves back at 280, I'm sorry, 370, 380 after going through 400. So all of these things are possible in this rarefied air that Tesla is right now. It's all about sentiment. It's not about fundamentals. It's all about sentiment around the robotaxi and the Optimus, and the potential for increased sales, of course, are part of it. And again, I make the argument that we could be at 600 or 700 just on the strength of cars and energy by this time next year. But the market might believe part of that. But what the market is really doing right now is it's giving maybe of this $400 right now, maybe 250, 300 of it is metal, and the other part is all promise. All right, this is from Barron's this morning. The average analyst target price on Tesla is up about $40 since the election, but the stock has added $150. So this growing gap leaves Tesla stock trading about 50% higher than the current 271 analyst average price target aggregated by FactSet. Trading above the price targets can feel alarming, but it isn't all that unusual for Tesla stock. Over the past 5 years, Tesla shares have been above the average target price more than half the time. Apple stock has been above the average analyst target price only about 15% of the time during that same time span. Again, this is having to do with sentiment. Okay, call it optionality. Right now, Apple, as strong as it is, the largest company by market cap in the world, doing great. It has been 15 or 20 years since anybody looked at Apple and went, wow, they've got a hot new product that's just going to make things go crazy. No, what they're doing is that they're just milking their existing product line really, really, really well. The spread between Tesla analysts and investors has also been wider in the past. Mainly in 2020, Tesla stock gained more than 740% that year. Do we all remember? Wall Street had trouble keeping up with that run too. Tesla closed just below 401 on Tuesday, only the fifth time shares have closed above 400 on a split adjusted basis. There was only one analyst target that from a large U.S. broker, greater than that, and that is Stifel Nicholas analyst Stefan Gengaro. He says it could go to 411. He rates the stock a buy. It's likely that more price targets will breach the 400 barrier if Tesla's stock keeps rising. Yeah, when we're already there, then they'll raise the price. Sometimes the street chases stock prices. This is one of those times. This is from CyFoxCat, CYFOXCAT, CyFoxCat. All right, it says here, now this is really, really big, maybe. Tesla's Cybertruck has passed the specification declaration of China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology and is expected to enter the Chinese market in the near future. Whoa. Now, there was a bunch of reporting around that, but none of that was I considered to be reporting that was worthy of passing along to you, but people speculating one way or the other about what this means. It could mean that Tesla will start selling Cybertrucks in China. There certainly would be a market. Would it be for 10,000 a year, 50,000 a year? Maybe a lot more than that. So we'll see. All right. This was interesting from my friend Warren Rudlick. He says, and by the way, he goes, if you want to find him on X, it's very weird. It's WR4NY governor. So Warren Rudlick for New York governor. He ran for governor one time. All right. If Elon Musk owns 0 shares in SpaceX, and 0 shares in Tesla, he would be roughly the 10th wealthiest person in the world based on his shares in Neuralink and all the rest of the companies. Are you ready for that? That's pretty wild. All right. Goldman Sachs analyst Mark Delaney says he is going to lift his price target on Tesla by $95 to $250 a share. Well, join the party, Mark. So 155 was his number, and now he's at 250. Sees a continuing potential for weakness in Tesla's legacy EV division, but touted is very impressed by its position in both autonomous driving and robo-taxis. Where's energy storage? These are supposed to be sophisticated investors. Doesn't even mention energy storage. While we see some fundamental headwinds to the core auto business over the near to medium term, and we see valuation as full at this time, we also believe the stock could remain at a higher multiple to reflect the long-term opportunity tied to full self-driving robotaxis, given the broader market interest in potential AI beneficiaries, Delaney said. Okay, so, all right. This is from Amitis Investing, AMITIS Investing. I like this a lot. He gave a whole list of things that are going on right now, and this one I thought was impressive about SpaceX. He says SpaceX has officially received a $350 billion valuation. Bloomberg is reporting that SpaceX and its investors have agreed to purchase as much as $1.25 billion of the company's shares at $185 apiece in a transaction valuing Elon Musk's rocket and satellite company at $350 billion. In October 2021, the company was only worth $100 billion. So 3 years and a couple of months ago, it was $100 billion, more than tripling its valuation in 3 years. With that new valuation, SpaceX has become, I already told you guys this last week, but these guys are confirming it, the most valuable private company in the world, surpassing the market caps of major corporations such as Salesforce, Chevron, Coca-Cola, and Toyota. Elon Musk's net worth has reached a record $442 billion due to the new valuation of SpaceX, making him the first person ever to exceed $400 billion. I think he was also the first person to ever exceed 350 and 300, but I could be wrong about those. I'm not 100% sure. Okay. Anyway, but the reality is that right now the value of his SpaceX stock is very close to the value of his Tesla stock, both at about 120, I think around 125 billion. Anyway, don't quote me on that. All right, this is Randy Kirk. If you haven't already done it, please, it would be so kind of you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm over 25,000 now, reporting last week, and now it's 50,000. I don't want to take 2 years to get there. So help me out with the subscription thing. And then, there's this. Okay. We got Brian J placing a nice order yesterday. Very, more than one, like 4, I think it was. Thank you, Brian J, for that. Remember, it comes in this really cool box. The box is almost worth it by itself because it's surprising when you open it. That's what, gifts, when they're surprising, that's fun. And this one is surprising because number one, it's this fancy jewel box. Then you open it up. It is a Cybertruck, which is one of the most iconic products of the last couple of years. And then it turns out to be a bottle opener too, which is kind of interesting. And then when you flip it over, it turns out to be a refrigerator magnet. So you put it on your refrigerator so it's close to you when you need a bottle opener. I mean, how cool is that? It's a substantial product. It's 9 ounces. It's about the same thickness as a Cybertruck. Why wouldn't you want one? Why wouldn't you want to give your friends one? So if you'd like to do that, you send the money to paypal.me/Randy Kirk, and all the information is down below. But it's $25 for one. It's $45 for 2. It's $65 for 3. It is $80 for 4. And from there on up, $20 a piece, multiplied by however many you're going to buy, and send the money. And you have plenty of time for Christmas. I don't care, any place in the United States, you're going to get it. If you buy one, it's going to take you 5 to 6 days. If you buy anything more than one, I'm sending it already. Right now, anything more than one is going out by 3 days select, which sometimes gets there in 3 days, sometimes gets there in 2 days. So you got plenty of time. So place your orders today. That'd be great. And also, you can join Patreon. Give Randy a Christmas present. The Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers increased at a 0.3% on a seasonally adjusted basis in November, after going up only 0.2% in each of the previous 4 months, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Over the last 12 months, the all items index increased 2.7% before seasonal adjustment. That was both of those were expected, and the last month it was 2.6%. The index for shelter rose 0.3% in November, accounting for about 40% of the increase. So shelter 0.3 is a good number, actually. The food index increased by 0.4%, and the food at home index 0.5%, away from home 0.3. All of that is pretty nasty. I mean, that's hitting you right in the pocketbook where it really matters. You see it. You go to the store, you go to McDonald's, you see it. The energy index rose by 0.2% over the month after being unchanged in October. A little surprising to see the energy, although natural gas has been going up quite a bit, but oil seems to be, contained. The index for when you have all items as food and energy, and this is what they call the core, rose 0.3% in November, as it did for the previous 3 months. The core is what the Fed pays the most attention to. That is way above their goal of 2% per year, because you're talking about 0.3% per month. That is, as you can multiply that out, that is 3.6% per year. So this is why I'm saying I think the Fed should pass. I think they should take a month off. Anyway, indices that increased in November include shelter, used cars and trucks, household furnishings and operations, medical care, new vehicles, and recreation. The index for communication was one of the few that went down. The all items index rose 2.7% for the 12 months ending November, after going up 2.6. I already told you that. The all items less food and energy, we said that already. All that's already known. Okay, food, here we go. The index for food increased 0.4% in November, after raising 0.2% in October. The food at home up 0.5% over the month. The food away from home index rose 0.3% in November. Some of this stuff, sometimes they say things that you can't quite understand. I'm going to skip over all that. The energy index, we already talked about that. What in the world? I think it looks like I've doubled some stuff. So sorry. All right. Okay. On the oil front, this morning, OPEC cut projections again for crude oil consumption growth in 2024 by 210,000 barrels a day. That brings their world oil consumption increase to only 1.6 million barrels per day. I don't know what the top was, but they've dropped it. Now they think the increase for next year will only be 1.6 million barrels per day. and Argentina is shooting to produce half of that. Okay, they were around 300,000 barrels per day, and they are projecting they're already at 500,000 barrels a day, and they're expecting to go to 1 million barrels increase per day. Let's see. I'm sorry, not increase, total per day. All right. This is also OPEC's deepest cut in their 2024 outlook thus far. All right, now we want to look at how markets are responding to these things. And let's start, of course, as we always do, with whether Tesla has busted through. Well, they have done it. Here we go, at least intraday. We're now at $4.1117, up $10.18 for the day. The high for the day has been $412.55. Now, for those of you who are playing at home, the high ever during interday was $414, so we're not quite to that $414 yet on the interday level, but we do have a 411.31 as of this exact moment. Okay, we'll check back on that in a minute and see if that has continued to hold. We have the Magnificent Seven all higher this morning. Microsoft, $4 up. That's a whole percent. Meta up again by another 2.5%. 2.5%. Amazon continuing up 2% this morning. Google up over 3% this morning. I mean, holy mackerel, the Apple's only up 0.5%. That's kind of the outlier, not going up that much. Although NVIDIA also at only 1%, but so the NASDAQ is up 250. You could have guessed that from what I just told you. The Dow is up 12, not very much, and the S&P up 38.50. The Cathie Woods are mixed, with ARK and PayPal up, Square up, but the rest of them are down. So that's interesting. Okay. And of course, what are we going to say about the bonds? The bonds were down. Last time I checked, though, they were popping up again. We'll check that in a second. Let's look at the percentages. So you got the Dow up only 0.03% right now. The NASDAQ up 1.21. Strong NASDAQ this morning. S&P up 0.63. And one more look at Tesla at only 409.97 right now. Like I said, it's going to be interesting here. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the bonds. So we've got the 10-year up 2.1 basis points, 4.242, getting close to that 4.25. This is really super interesting because at this point, I think the bond market knows the Fed's going to cut next week. I think they're going to guess that they'll take a pause in January. But holding up here at this 4.242 that's a strong signal that the bond market is saying, no, Fed, we've still got inflation. I'm sorry, that's what it's saying. The U.S. 2-year is down 2.1 basis points, so that's good. And the 1 month is also down 2.6 basis points, so that's good. Let me look real quick here on the 2-year, the 10-year versus 4.2, 4.3. So the 1 month is still higher than the 10-year, but it's getting very, very close. So that's interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the bond. We got the bonds. We got the oil is up $1. So that's even after the OPEC decision is going up $1, but we're still talking, well, 69.62, putting some pressure on 70. Brent 73.04, getting closer to that $3 spread, which is natural and normal, as opposed to the 4 where it's been most recently. I mean, the wars in the Middle East, if you will, are like nothing burgers anymore. The only thing left really now is Ukraine. I think that ends on December 19th. I don't know. Why did I pick that date? Natural gas up 5.41% at $3.33. So there you go. There's why your energy pricing is going up. It's that natural gas. That's what's going on. Gold up another 33 at 27.51. It's been a minute since I checked this. So what was the all-time high? All-time high is, whoops, let's go, you got to go here. Yeah, we're not there yet. It was at 2,800 about. Okay, but 27.51 closing in on the all-time high. Silver also $33.11, up 1.9%, 1.09 this morning. So 34 is the recent high. And then copper at $4.27, also strong. Well, a little down this morning, 0.08, but a very strong number for copper. We've got the dollar mixed this morning again, even after the CPI was about as expected. We've got Bitcoin back over 100,000 at 102.84, up 4% this morning. And that is all the things we report on. All right, so here's what we want to tell you about, though. We've got coming up today. Remember I told you yesterday it was going to be Robert Scoble last night? I lied. When I lie, I tell you I lie. So anyway, no, I really misspoke. I fully intended to put Brian White on last night for his show, and you do want to go back and check out what Brian and I talked about. But even more than that, last night, you want to go back and see what I talked to Nicholas Gibbs about. Excellent, excellent show. I'm going to put that card up there. The Brian White, you can go find that if that's interesting to you. On the other hand, Scoble and I had a great conversation, first time on the channel. That will be on tonight at 7:45, barring the creek rising or any other kinds of gray swan events. Okay, so and then of course normal Jeff Lutz should be joining me tonight, as far as I know. Okay, so where are we? One last chance to check out. Oh, don't forget to buy your Cybertruck bottle opener. That is going to be something you will be happy you did. You will be thrilled, and the people that you gift it to will be totally blown away. They'll love it. All right, let's one last time looking at Tesla, sitting at 410.72 right now. So could be the day when we close above 410 and change, which is what we need to do to beat the all-time high. Well, we'll see what happens. I will be back to talk about that, as you know, at around 5 o'clock California time, might be sooner, with Jeff Lutz. We'll have a lot of fun talking about that breakthrough or not with Jeff. Okay, that's all I got for you right now. It's been great talking to you.